Okay, a little bit of audience participation. How many of you know Oliver Coffey? Somebody boo?
No, I said woo!
Well, that's part of the story too.
It's okay.
I'd like to explain a little bit about Oliver Coffey. I created it as a comic strip that wasn't a comic at all. It wasn't supposed to be funny. It didn't have cartoon characters. It didn't have any characters. It was drawings of cityscapes. It was drawings of places, of my studio, of things, and it had these musings and short stories. And really, the readers of the newspaper had no idea what to think of it when it launched. Literally, the first day the strip ran into paper, I got all of these emails about how much the strip sucked and how much the strip was wonderful. It was just that people either got it or they didn't get it. And pretty much most of the people at the Chronicle didn't really get it either. And I got, BCC, some people forwarded me like these emails that were going around. They were making mock strips of the comic, and it was fine. I took it all in good stride, but I pretty much didn't care about doing current events. My idea was to make something that was the antithesis of what the newspaper was, and that was the point. Which I understandably is a bit, it's a bit artsy-fartsy for getting in the newspaper and saying, I want to do the exact opposite of what you do. I made this strip. This is about 2 months into launching. It's 2004, and it's a drawing of Land's End. So it's looking down over some rocks and into the water, and there's water crashing and waves, and the line reads, "There's no fear of falling, only jumping and sometimes pushing." Innocuous enough, a little introspective. Turns out this strip was supposed to run on Mother's Day. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to things that happen in the newspaper, like holidays and things that people pay attention to. So the editors were a little annoyed at me in general, and we've been going back and forth, so they decided to pull this strip. Okay, fair enough. It's the only one in the course of 7 years that they pulled. And I decided, all right, maybe I should pay attention a little bit to what's going on in the rest of the world. Pay attention to holidays, etc. So this is 7 years ago, so let's fast forward to 2 weeks ago. My new book is coming out 2 weeks ago. Second book of Oliver Coffey. Extremely excited. My mother comes to town. I'm having a big event. I'm having a launch party. I'm having the biggest solo show I've ever had. 46 pieces. We've rented a gallery. We've hired staff. Mom is sleeping in the living room. She's being super helpful, although she let us pay for everything, which I thought was pretty funny. But she's doing dishes. She's helping my wife carry books, etc., etc. We have the event. The event is awesome. But at the same time, I need to publish every week. So I'm in my studio. I'm trying to write. I'm trying to draw, and then I'm having events. I'm doing interviews. We're doing all this stuff. And of course, I'm completely oblivious to what's going on in the world. And at the same time, a friend sends me an email. And, I've been thinking about the idea of writing. This is a slight digression, but that a lot of times when I sit down to write, I stiffen up and my voice gets stiff, but yet I can write an email to somebody that just pours right out. And I feel like I say the things that I really want to say, and I say them so cleanly. And so I thought, what if I start taking emails in the way that I'm writing to good friends, and I start extracting lines from these things. And my friend Mark sends me an email about his mother, who's getting married. And so all of you have the copy of the strip, and now I'm going to read the strip that I extracted. Sorry, one moment. You can follow along if you'd like. But I gave you a copy of it so that you can see what Oliver Coffey looks like, drawings and writings. It reads, "My friend Mark sends me a picture of a cartoon zombie from a Scooby-Doo episode and says it's the man his mother is going to marry. He says that after his father died, she lost all her confidence and couldn't be alone, and so this is who she ended up with. Then he goes off about how hard it is to be an artist, lamenting that it's all work and no glory, and when in the rare event he does get some glory, people tell him how lucky he is to not have to work. I write back that I've been afraid of repeating myself, afraid of becoming one of those authors who spends his entire life writing the same novel over and over, but with different titles. Mark says that repetition is inevitable, that no matter how broad your range is, it's still limited. Once you get a sense for who you are, you continually see that reflection in the mirror of all that you make. It's why failure is so hard, he says. You feel crazy for believing the next time will be different. He says he goes through day-long panic attacks, then has to push them down into a big hole so he can get back to work. So I tell him what I tell myself, to just keep going. I say that sometimes willpower is more important than talent, that he has to believe it can all work out, while knowing that belief alone won't make it true. There are no guarantees, I say. Sometimes your mother marries a zombie. Woo! Thank you. And so I managed to write and draw this in the midst of having an opening, a book release, and Mom sleeping on the couch. And Mom's there, you know, and we take her out to brunch, and we say, this is a preemptive Mother's Day. We go to Cavallo Point on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's all very nice and sweet. I send my piece off to print. I have the big event. Everything is great. I can't believe I managed to pull it all off. And then 2 days ago, I am heating up the leftover pizza in the kitchen, because, you know, that's what I'm doing for lunch. And it hits me that it's Mother's Day in 2 days. Sunday is Mother's Day, and I am publishing a piece about somebody's mother marrying a zombie. And that my mother was in town, and I knew that it was Mother's Day, and that once again, even after 7 years, I managed to completely forget everything that's going on in the world.